This video will present the material presented in the workshop on making videos for online classes, for the benefit of those who were not able to be there, and also for those who were able to be there if they want to refer to this later, and they would rather listen to it rather than just look at the slides. Okay, so I'm going to start out with talking about some reasons to make videos for your online classes in the first place. So the first reason is, well, it takes the place of your in-class lectures. So you need some way of delivering the content that you would normally deliver in your in-class lecture on your online class. Now, you could do this by writing lecture notes, but videos, I think, are more engaging for students and possibly easier for them to understand. Just as it's easier for them to understand you standing up and lecturing in front of them than it is for them to just read some lecture notes. If they could just understand the material by reading about it, they probably wouldn't need the lecture in the first place. It helps students learn better than they would without video content. So there's been research done on this. So if you follow the link in the video here, which you'll be able to do by going to the slides that I will post on Blackboard, you can follow the link. And basically the answer to the question, are video lectures effective in online courses? The answer is yes. For most students, these are very effective. Obviously, depending on quality, but assuming you make good quality videos that deliver your content well, they should be effective and helpful to your students. And it enables the course material to be broken up into smaller chunks than, say, your lecture notes might. And I'll talk more about why that's important later on. Okay, so now I want to talk about some issues with creating optimal videos for online classes. So obviously you want your videos to be as good as they can be. So what are some different issues? So one question is about quality. So how good a quality must your videos be for your online classes? So obviously this depends a great deal on you and how much of a perfectionist you are, what you're going to be happy with. But the bottom line is they need to be good enough. So what do I mean by good enough? The videos need to convey the ideas or skills that you're trying to teach. And they should use a reasonably professional screencasting technique, but they don't need to have a lot of bells and whistles. So something very simple like what I'm doing, just a PowerPoint with you talking. You don't need a lot of other things. And these, a lot of other bells and whistles might even be distracting and could take away from the learning experience for the student. Bottom line, I would say, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. In other words, don't let striving for perfection get in the way of you actually getting the videos up for your students in time for them to learn for them. So there comes a time when you just say, good enough. And then, maybe you can go back and you can tweak them and you could redo them. But first step is just to get something up there that will do the job. You should carefully prepare your lectures when preparing for making a video for the online class, just as you would a face-to-face class. You should practice your lecture before making your video recording of the lecture. That will help it go more smoothly. One pro tip is write yourself a script for the online lecture. And this should be a script that goes beyond simply what you put on your PowerPoint slide. So it includes all of the things that you say in between, the PowerPoint bullet points, in addition to them, all the ways that you are planning on expanding on the material on the slides. And the script will come in handy down the road when making your videos accessible. So more about that later. Finally, what is the optimum length for an online video? So the accepted best practice seems to be videos that are between 5 and 15 minutes long, with about 6 minutes long being considered optimal. Now, there's debate about this. So, the first link there takes you to an article Or they've done research showing basically what that research shows, that 6-minute videos are about optimal. Longer than that, and students stop watching. So obviously, your students aren't going to get the content that you're trying to deliver if they don't watch it. But, you know, the debate about that asks, you know, is there something special about those videos that they weren't watching that were longer? So maybe they were supplementary materials that the students didn't consider important. Are there differences between students who are taking the class for credit versus students who aren't? You know, is there a difference in what and you know, what is it that exactly that these other studies are measuring? What they're measuring is how long the student watches it, not how much the student learned from it, which is what we ultimately care about, right? So, bottom line, I would say that you want to break your video lectures into smaller, discrete chunks, and that you should make these chunks a reasonable length wherever possible. However, don't be afraid to make a video longer if that is what is needed to get a concept across. So you don't want to stop halfway through a concept, because that could be problematic too. But the reason why I'm going to vote for shorter videos rather than longer ones wherever possible is because if you break your video lectures into discrete chunks that just present one concept or one skill, then when students want to review material, they can just review that video that they need to review. They don't have to watch a long lecture that maybe contains material that they feel solid, some material that they feel confident of, and then other material that they're really trying to work on. So like say, for example, when I'm teaching logic, you know, a student may not need to review how all of the rules work, but they want to review how modus ponens work. They don't understand that one. So they just want to watch the video on modus ponens. Okay, now I'm going to talk about some different technology for making videos. So in these next few slides, I'll discuss some different applications that you can use to make professional looking videos for your classes. And at the end of the workshop, I'm going to go through some of these applications, show people how they work, if we have time. But I'm also planning to make videos of me using these different video technologies, and I'll share these on Blackboard when I have them complete. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Doceri, and this is the one that I use for my online classes. And I really like this one. So you can get it as a desktop application, and it's cross-platform. And it's also available as an app for tablet computers, either iPad or Window tablets. And what you do is you pair the desktop app and the tablet app. And so you can do stuff on the tablet, or you can be doing stuff on the desktop, and you can go back and forth. So on the iPad app, you can, you know, there's a whiteboard for you to write on. You can share pictures from your iPad. So if you have pictures that you have uploaded to the iPad, you can access those through the app, and you can share those as part of your presentation. And on the desktop, you can show whatever's on your desktop. So like say a PowerPoint like this one. And you can go through it and talk. The only trick with this is that you have to have, well, you don't have to have both devices, but you have to have the tablet, because that's how you control it. So if you just get the desktop app, you're not going to be able to do anything with it. So that's a little annoying. It's great if you've got both types of devices, but if you don't, then it's not really the choice for you. So it's available at doceri.com. The cost is very reasonable. So the iPad app is free. The Windows app is $4.99. And then the desktop app, you can get a free 30-day trial, and it's not expensive after that if you want to buy the license. Okay, so now here's one called Screencast-o-matic. This one is a very easy to use, very intuitive, not a lot of features. So you don't have things like the whiteboard and stuff like that, but you know, it's a pretty nice little app. and it's very quick and easy to use. So it works through your browser on almost any computer, except for old ones like mine. So if you have an older Mac, it's not going to work on it. If it doesn't work through your browser, it says you may need to download a standalone app for your computer. Again, that didn't help me. It's available at Screencast-o-matic.com, and the regular version is free. And the regular version is, I think, as full-featured as you probably actually need. But you can pay $15 and you can get the pro version. And one of the things it allows you to do, among other things, is it allows you to make videos that are longer than 15 minutes long. So the free version limits you to 15 minutes of video. Now, maybe that's a virtue. As we were saying, shorter videos are probably better. But still, it's annoying when you have that one video that needs to go just slightly over 15 minutes and you can't do it. So, you know, you might consider buying the pro version. It's only 15 bucks. That's pretty reasonable. Okay, and then finally, oh, not finally, sorry. The next one is called Zoom. So this, you need to download some software for your computer, and it's available cross-platform. And Zoom is interesting because it's primarily a web conferencing tool, not a screencasting tool, but you can also use it as a screencasting tool. In fact, Zoom is what I'm using right now to make this video. So a bonus of using Zoom is that you could also use the software to conduct office hours online. And it allows for screen sharing while you're video conferencing. It has a built-in interactive whiteboard. Plus, you also have the ability to record the session so that students could refer to it later. So I'm considering using this. Last year I used Skype for office hours, and that worked fine. But I'm considering giving this a try as my way of doing office hours also. So the cost is another real benefit of this software. It's free. And so that's available at zoom.us. So this is probably the one I'm going to show during the workshop because it's a little not intuitive how to use it, but once you know how to use it, it's actually really easy. Okay, and then finally, this is the finally, there's Camtasia. So this is available in both a Macintosh and a Windows version. It contains a lot more bells and whistles than the other software I've just mentioned. So that's both a pro and a con. The con is it can make it a bit more difficult to use, in my opinion. So I found Camtasia to have kind of a scary learning curve. And it would take, I think, a while for me to get comfortable using it because there's just so much going on. However, UCTD does training on Camtasia and can help you get started. So if you want to try using it, they can help you. The cost is fairly expensive, but luckily BU owns a license for Camtasia, so you don't have to buy it. I'm not sure how you get it, but UCT could probably help you with that too. Okay. So now, the final topic I want to talk about is the topic of making your videos accessible. So in order to be in compliance with the Office of Disability Services and the ADA, you need to make your videos accessible for any students who have special needs. However, it's easier to make your videos accessible from the get-go than scrambling at the last minute when you find out that you have a student with some special needs. So, you know, if you find out on day 2 of classes that you have a student with some special need and you have all these videos that you've made for your class, you're going to have a lot of work to do at that point to get all of those videos accessible before the student needs them while you're also trying to run your class. So think about doing this beforehand. So what kinds of issues can come up in terms of accessibility and videos? So people who are sight impaired. There is content in your video that is visual that is not described in the video audio, then this will be a problem for those people. So solution is to always make sure to describe visual content out loud for the benefit of those who are sight impaired. People who are colorblind. So you need to make sure that there is no loss of content if someone is unable to distinguish red from green or blue from yellow, which are the most common types of color blindness. best practice would be to avoid the use of these colors altogether. And I think that that is also better for students with certain types of learning disabilities, especially reading disabilities. Certain colors like yellow, I think in particular, can be very hard for them to see. I think it's hard for anyone to see depending on the background color. So really the best, as I understand it, the best color contrast is black on white, just like I have. So it's not good when you have a dark background and white type. That's hard for people to read. So think about that when you're making your PowerPoints for your presentations, for your videos. How about people who are, a big group of people who are going to have problems with your videos are people who are hearing impaired. So if there's any content in your video that is spoken but not written on the slides, which there should be, you shouldn't be just reading from your slides, people who are hearing impaired are not going to be able to access that part of the material. So there are a couple of different solutions to this. So one solution is to provide a separate transcript for the video. And this is where the script you made for making the video can come in handy. Instant transcript. You've already done that work. But even better is the option to if you can close caption your video. And it's reasonably simple to do this within YouTube. It's time consuming, but it's simple. But again, the script can come in handy here. So if you have a script, you can upload that to YouTube. And what YouTube will do is it will sync the words in the script with your audio. And it actually does a really pretty good job of this. So you might just have to go through and edit it a little bit. It works much better than the feature in YouTube, which will also just create a transcript from the audio. That's not so good. Or you can just directly type and transcribe the video. So I'm going to be making a video, or maybe more than one video, about how to do this in YouTube. And I will upload it to Blackboard once I've done so. Because it's not necessarily intuitive how to do it, but once you know how to do it, it's easy. So I will show you how. Okay. And so these solutions here can also be helpful to students with a wide variety of learning disabilities. So having a transcript or having closed captioning on the video, or maybe having both, would be very helpful to students with a wide variety of learning disabilities. Bottom line, accessible design is good design. Even for students who do not have some kind of physical disability or learning disability, these tips that I'm talking about in terms of making videos accessible can also help these students learn better as well. So some students learn better when material is presented in two ways at once. So audio and visual, so being able to see what you're saying plus hear it. I know for myself that if I both listen to material and read it at the same time, I retain it better. Okay, so that concludes the presentation. If you have any questions about the material in this presentation, please feel free to email me and let me know your questions, and I'll be glad to answer them.